I'm Libby Fandel from Xavier High School, and this is Empowering the Iowa Girls.
State basketball this last year, 37 points, 25 boards, first game. Tell me about that. How did you feel that game? How did you feel? Or did you even notice it at the time?
You know, I think it was just going into the game, we knew that it was the 1 seed, and we were looked at as the underdogs. So I think my thought process was just, I got to go out there and work as hard as I can and do whatever I got to do to get that win. So.
And the 25 rebounds, now obviously is a state record, but did you realize that is also a 6-on-6 record? I mean, that's an all-time record.
Wow.
And that's what really amazes me about it. When you think of some of the great 6-on-6 and Denise Long and way back in the day, and especially defenders only, but the fact that 25 boards in a game, you broke the all-time girls basketball state record.
Wow, I honestly, I didn't even realize it during the game. I just kind of was like, oh, I need to get the ball. So just got to go do it. Yep.
That's great. So growing up, did you grow up here in Cedar Rapids? Tell us about your childhood here. What'd you have going?
Yep, grew up in Cedar Rapids. I have a brother, mom and dad. Both my mom grew up in Victor, and my dad grew up here. He went to LaSalle, so it's kind of like, you know, LaSalle and Xavier connected. So kind of always been in the Catholic Church. Growing up in my faith has been really important to me, and I've always loved basketball. Been around basketball all my life. I also was around volleyball a lot, so that was kind of a hard choice between the two, but I knew that basketball was for sure the one I wanted. So.
And early on, youth soccer, was there some other activities when you were kind of first getting going in competitive sports?
Yes, I played softball, and I did that for a really long time, and I loved it, but then it kind of fell off a little. I was like, I need to focus on my other sports a little more. So.
Is there a time when you start to say, I'm pretty good at this?
I don't know. I would say I never really thought that, but my mom was like, if you want to work hard, if you want to go play in college, then you really got to kick up your game. And I think I went and I would shoot baskets with my dad after school every day. And middle school was when I really was like, okay, I really want to be good. So,
role models and heroes. As you're growing up and you're starting to get involved in junior high and with basketball and volleyball, was there somebody you looked up to? Was there a former Xavier student, or was there, mom or dad, or did you have a role model or a hero?
Yeah, I obviously look up to my parents a lot because they've helped me with everything, and my mom especially because she played college basketball and she kind of knows her way around stuff. So I looked up to her a lot, and obviously the basic answer is Caitlin Clark, but she's a really good role model just kind of because she has a cool tone and just knows how to shoot the ball really well, and I think I've always just admired her and how hard she practices to put the ball in the hoop. And she played at attack. So I think like being there and seeing like what she came from has really inspired me.
Where'd your mom play college basketball at?
She played at Mount Mercy and Nyack.
So she didn't pressure you to go that direction?
Nope. She didn't.
That's great. So as you roll into high school then, coming out of junior high, you're still doing volleyball and basketball. Any track in junior high? Okay, so
Nope.
just kind of narrowed it down to those two. How does that freshman year, coming from there's always a growth from junior high to high school, and obviously high school to college, another jump. But how did you transition into your freshman year of volleyball and basketball?
I think that when I was a freshman for basketball, I had really good senior leaders, and I think they just helped me improve and just know how to play the game better as a team. So I think that's what mostly helped me as a freshman. Coming in, it's hard to, just fit in. But I think that they really helped me, and they helped me grow as a person, just as an athlete. So.
And did you have any pressure early on with volleyball and basketball can kind of conflict, especially if you start throwing in the club world?
Yep.
So did you have some tough decisions early on, or were your coaches pretty good with working with that?
For sure. I played club volleyball and club basketball at the same time my freshman year. And so I think I was gone like 8 weekends in a row. And so I decided that I was going to go to an all-Iowa attack club. just because you've seen a lot of greats come out of there. And so I decided to do that, and I figured out I couldn't do volleyball with that. So yeah, I think that was a little hard to understand. Like, my volleyball coach, was hard for her to understand that I was going to go. I was going to go and miss practices for club basketball. So it was just kind of some things like that. But all coaches were really understanding, and they did a great job.
What would you tell kids that right now are going through that same conflict? They love both. They want to compete both for their school, but yet they're having to make a decision.
I think it's just, you got to prioritize what you want to do, and you got to think about your future and how it's going to help you. I mean, also think about your teammates too, but it's your decision at the end of the day. You just got to go with your gut, and if that's the sport you want to do, then you got to go and prioritize that sport. And
you had a little experience with track. You were saying your sophomore year.
Yep.
So what prompted you to give it a run around the oval?
I think just be conditioned, just kind of have fun, go out there. My brother did track, and he really liked it. So yeah, just kind of try something new.
Absolutely. Now, Xavier has been dominant the last several years in basketball, volleyball. There's a great history here. What's the mindset you have as an athlete, knowing that every year you guys are going to be competing for a title? Every year you're going to be competing for state, competing for the conference. So how did you as a player get ready to play in each of those games?
I think just teamwork, playing together. I think that we all know that there's the next on our back, and you just kind of got to go out there and work hard, and for sure practicing. And I feel like every year we have a deep bench and everyone can contribute. And so I think that the players that aren't playing, that are practicing against us, really help us improve and make it game-like situations.
With the balancing of the club and the school-based activities, like you'd said, you're gone like 8 weekends in a row in time. How did you have to focus on school? That's that component.
Yeah.
How did you balance academics with your school-based activities in your club sports?
I think that my teachers are really reasonable, and if I'm telling them they're going to be gone, they have things posted online for me to get done. I think I just would come in after school or during my off period just to kind of understand what was going on. But yeah, I think it wasn't too bad. I just had to make sure that I was keeping up with all my stuff. So,
2 state championships, volleyball state championship and a basketball state championship. Tell us a little bit about, let's start with volleyball first. What was that experience? What was it like competing at state, winning the state championship? Just kind of take us through that moment.
That was an awesome experience. Again, that team was filled with seniors that had great leadership, and I think that everyone had their doubts about that team, and that's kind of what helped build us up. And like right from the get-go at the beginning of the season, we were like, we want to be number one, and we stuck with that all year. I think we also had a great coach. Austin Filer did amazing with us, and I think he really helped us improve every single day in practice. But yeah, kind of going out with a bang for those seniors too.
And then with basketball, take us through that moment.
Yeah, my senior year, so it's just kind of like, wow, let's get this done. Putting everything, leaving everything out there, honestly. And I think that the juniors and honestly everyone just wanted to do it for me and Taylor and Coach Lilly. And I think that that's just the dedication that we all had and the effort we all put in at the end of the season was really helped us get there.
What advice, if you could go back to your younger self, and now you've got the advantage of wisdom looking back over your last 4 or 5 years here, but what advice would you tell your younger self? If you were starting over again and you look at that 7th, 8th grade, Libby, what would you tell her?
I would tell her to work out and get in the gym more to lift weights and just get stronger. I think that, yes, I needed to shoot and work on my basketball skill, but it's also important to be very strong and just built and against your opponent, like how your physicality you are. And I think all that would benefit me more.
So looking at the strength and conditioning aspect of it, from your sophomore year at state volleyball to your senior year winning state championship in basketball, physically you developed more. Was there a point where strength and conditioning became an emphasis for you?
For sure. My mom is all about that. She runs a bunch of miles every day. I don't even know. But yeah, she is all about that. And I think that I realized that I needed to get stronger and be more tough, just so that I can not wimp out against another player. But yeah, I for sure grew, and I lifted more. I got a trainer. I took it very seriously. Eating healthy has always been a big part too, and I think that I just really took it more seriously as I started to get up in high school.
And as more athletes you hear and talk about this, sleep. Is sleep something that you would track or pay attention to, or is that something you think that again is going to be part of that transition?
Yeah, I think I've always been, I want to sleep at least 8 hours every night. So I think that I've done that since my freshman year. I mean, since forever. So I think that will really be a big part into college, getting a lot of sleep and helping me just be the best that I can.
As you're playing in these big games, or you're getting ready for a big game, is there a mantra? Is there something? What do you do to calm yourself in the big moment? Is there anything that, or you even think about it? You just go out and react?
Yeah, I'd say like the big games, like state championship, all the state games, playoff game for sure I think that's when I had my most nerves. And I think before that, me and my mom just kind of go through some deep breathing, some meditation. She kind of walks me through the game. I think that really helps me. And I've always kind of done that for games that I think are really important. And I do believe that has helped me a lot.
And on the flip side of that, how do you handle when a game doesn't go well? What advice could you give to athletes that you may not have the performance you wanted that night, or maybe it was a tough loss? How do you handle that to get back to come playing again?
Yeah, I think just remembering that you can always get better, and maybe it wasn't your night, your game, and that maybe your team didn't work together very good, and that there's always a chance for you to get better and do more the next game.
Passion and interests outside of athletics. How do you balance yourself? Do you have a passion, you have an interest where it doesn't involve the ball, doesn't involve exercising, that you can just kind of balance yourself?
I love to hang out with my friends. I also love to play pickleball with my friends. That's a ball, but I'd say it's very more low-key. So I love to do that. I also like to hang out with my family, my dog. I don't know, kind of the basic teenager things.
Are you a threat at the net in pickleball?
Yes. Yes.
I figured so.
Very much so, yeah.
Nice wingspan there. Yeah. Awesome. I always say there's three things you'll never forget with athletics. The game you never should have won, the game you never should have lost, and when the game was taken away. Can you tell us, do you have those three games?
Maybe my freshman year versus DCG when it went into triple overtime. That was crazy. I think that one, we probably shouldn't have won that. I mean, Kyla came in clutch. She hit 2 free throws with like point something left, and that was crazy. So,
is there one that got away that you wish you could have back?
Honestly, I don't know. I think that all the games, maybe the Gilbert game to go to state my junior year. I think that one was a tough one that we lost. But at the same time, I don't know who deserved it more. I felt like both teams were pretty deserving. It was a hard-fought game, but just kind of sucked that we were on the other end of that. But
Yep, but it led to the last one.
Yep.
When the game was taken away, which, I mean, you ended it about as good as you possibly could.
Yep, that's for sure.
That's great. Recruiting process. When did it start? How did you go through that? What advice would you give kids as they're trying to balance competing at the moment and yet also the recruiting?
I think it started my either freshman or sophomore summer. I think it was sophomore summer. And it's going to be difficult because you have to talk to a lot of coaches. It gets kind of stressful, but I think just planning out with what time you're going to talk and like when you're going to visit, that always helps. And it does come to an end eventually. So I think that the hardest part for me was just having to sit on the phone with coaches for hours at a time. But I think if you have good people around you to support you and tell you what schools are good options, I think that really helps.
And with KU, so how old were you when you committed?
I think it was last summer, like July maybe, June maybe.
Did that take some pressure off?
Yeah, for sure. That was the best feeling in the world. And just knowing that I get to go to a place that's so awesome and that I can rely on the coaches and the players. And I love all the girls there. It's just an awesome place to be in the Big 12. I think that it was really, it felt really good when I knew I finally had chosen a home.
Absolutely. And how soon do you have to report?
June 1st.
June 1st.
Yep.
So it's going to be a quick turnaround from graduation.
For sure. 2 weeks, I think.
What's your focus now for the transition to the next level? What part of your game this spring and as you come into your short summer, but what is it you're going to focus on for that transition to the next level?
I'm going to focus on just kind of finishing with a lot of contact and my dribble pull-ups. I've been working on that a lot with my trainer, and also I've been training with another person to help me build some more muscles. So I think that those two things are going to really be key, and maybe getting a little more condition in. Yep.
Where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
Man, I don't know. Something in business, I'm sure. But I mean, if I do really, really well, WNBA is not a bad option, but I would have to work a lot harder to get there. I think just, maybe seeing what my opportunities would be as a businesswoman. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And you won't ghost us in the WNBA draft
No,
where we're like,
no.
hey, we need to do a follow-up.
I won't.
And the experience working the AD's office, is that helping that business mind?
That's
Is that
awesome.
getting things
That's awesome. Yep.
moving along?
Matt and Pam are awesome. Yep.
Good deal. What have you learned from them? What has that experience taught you?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of the behind the scenes work and like putting in stats and stuff. I kind of do that, and just kind of helps me to see how the game all is put together. So, yeah.
What's it mean to be an Iowa girl?
I think it means hard work. You know, I think every single girl in Iowa, you see, there's so many great players in Iowa. So I think that you look at each one of them, and they have talent, they have hard work, they've put in so much effort to be a great basketball, volleyball, track, whatever they do. So I think that it means you have talent and hard work, and you're gonna go out and compete against all these other people that have great talent and hard work. So, yeah. Accountability. I think that means that when you have to be accountable for your teammates, your teachers, your coaches. I think at Xavier it really shows when you're in the classroom getting your work done, and then that also translates to being an athlete and putting in practice, and practicing is being accountable for your teammates too. And I think that when everyone shows up for practice and puts in their best work, and that's when you can get state championships, and that's really how you be accountable. Communication is all about, I think, with your teammates and your coaches and also your teachers. If you're going to miss class to go play state basketball, you got to tell your teachers that, and you got to make sure you're getting all your work done. And then communication, maybe you have something they have to miss for practice, you got to let your coaches know. And maybe if you can't make your practice, you got to go and you got to make that up somehow. Yeah. Leadership to me, I think, means that you got to hold your teammates accountable when you might not want to. And I think being chosen as a captain is really a big part of leadership, and just trying to make everyone better.
Are you more of a lead by example, or are you more of a vocal leader, or do you balance the two?
I for sure balance it. I think that my teammates know I'm a very competitive person, so they know that when I'm going to be getting on them, like, I want them to succeed and I want them to do good, so that in a game we can succeed and do good. My parents they're just amazing people, and I think that I for sure would not be here without them. They go in the gym with me at late night, get some shots up. They put all the work in to sign me up for things or do whatever, but that's the really important things. And I think when you have good parents that aren't gonna snap at you after your game or call you out for things that maybe a teenager doesn't want to hear, I think that's what helped me and how I've grown so much. So I think culture is just about kind of who's come before you, I would say, and how they've shaped the sport at Xavier. I think culture at Xavier has really just been about hard work and dedication and putting in your time even when no one's around. And I think that as as my team progresses, I think that we've built some good culture and just have proven to people that, you know, we may not be the tallest team out there, but we're gonna play hard defense and just kind of build that culture up, and so that the years to come can do the same. Teamwork is all about chemistry, I think, because you got to hang out with your team and know what they're like to even have good teamwork. And I think, you know, a lot of people can see my stat line and say I did a lot for my team, but that's not a whole team, you know. Like Taylor had an amazing state run. Giselle, Madden, Reese, Samantha, every single person contributed in some way. And, you know, when I'm getting double teamed, someone else has got to make the shot. So it's just kind of all about that. And offense doesn't win games. I think defense wins games. And I think that's not one person job. That's your whole team. So I think that our teamwork was really, really amazing this year. And yeah, I think we talk about this a lot at practice. I think work ethic really means just putting hard work into whatever you do, even if it's lifting, even if it's a different sport. I think that having the drive and energy to build your teammates up and make them work harder is really what I think work ethic means. I would say resilience is just being able to compete against the top teams in the state. So like state, I think we were resilient when we were maybe down at the beginning of the game. I don't think not every game we went up by a lot right away. We kind of took our time, and I think when we were down, we stayed resilient and we wanted to push back at them and give our go. And I think being resilient and I think we just had that resilience from being in practice and playing against each other. I mean, we're all really competitive against each other, and I think that's just what helped us.
If you'd like to check out more Empowering the Iowa Girl interviews, go ahead and click here for our playlist. If you'd like to see the recent interviews we've completed, go ahead and click here. And finally, if you'd like to subscribe to catch all of our interviews when they come out on the informational superhighway, click here.